Take care. going to take a very quick moment in between that just to mention solos. First of all, that first tune, many of you I'm sure know, is called Moon Dance. We had a few solos there. We had, I have to do this in order, Brandon on trombone, Jesse on flute, Jack on alto sax, and lastly was Will on the trumpet. So Jazz Band and Jazz Ensemble were the two groups that were not at the winter concert, and part of the reason was because they were just getting started by the time we had the winter concert. They actually 2 weeks ago just had their championships, so we haven't, that's what we build up to, and then it felt like a shame to do all of that work and have all the after-school rehearsals and travel. Sometimes in all honesty, these kids not only gave up rehearsal time, but when we go to competitions, we leave right after school on a Friday, and we're really not getting back home sometimes until 1:30 in the morning with championships. So it's a late night and it's a lot of commitment. This group, actually, in their division at championships, had their highest score of the season. They had a rating of outstanding. And also, this is the only time they ever do this is at championships. I'm not entirely sure why it's the only time they do it, but they do a sight reading room. So as soon as you finish performing, you walk into a separate room and you play a song you've never seen before. And out of their entire division, they also won best sight reading for the entire competition. And the last award to mention before they play their last one is Jesse had an outstanding soloist medal at the competition as well. So this last tune they will play is called Afterburner, and we'll have a few soloists in this one too. We will have Jay on tenor sax. We will have Travis on tenor sax. Will on trumpet. The order that kills me. And lastly, we have Peter on alto sax as well. So this is Afterburner. This is the second of our jazz ensembles. This jazz band rehearses. The slight difference is they have slightly more instruments included in jazz band, the previous band that you heard. But this is the jazz ensemble. This is more the traditional setup of a jazz ensemble. They meet 2 times a week, and they go to competitions just as the other group does. They just compete in a slightly different division. That first song was called Slipstream, and in Slipstream we heard from Jared on guitar first. Queen on trumpet. Mike on alto sax. CJ on guitar. And lastly, Devin on alto sax. So this group in their championships 2 weeks ago, it was the same day. They scored a rating of superior, which is the highest rating that you can score at these competitions. And in addition to that, Devin also was awarded a Best Soloist medal. And one other small mention of Devin, there's going to be a few students that we'll mention over the course of the night, but this is an important one to mention, especially before this last song. At the last concert in the winter, we had a few people stand up, and we had talked about those that made county band. They auditioned with schools in the area and made it from the county, and then we also had the conversation of some of them had district band or district orchestra, depending on where they tried out. Devin had a slightly different opportunity where we came back in January, I believe, and he came to me and wanted to do a different audition, and he records his audition. It's a weird process. They're not allowed to see your face, they're not allowed to see anything that relates to your school. They just record his hands and his saxophone, and he has to play certain pieces, and we mail it in, and it's anonymous, and then we wait to see. And Devin, when you put into perspective, we talked about county and district, Devin was one of 2 alto saxes in the entire state of Pennsylvania that was accepted into all state finals. So, it feels like a lot longer ago, but it was only a couple weeks ago, Devin and I got to ride a nice long bus ride all the way to Erie, PA, and he spent 4 days just hanging out with a bunch of jazz musicians and high school musicians in the area, or from the state, playing, and the concert was absolutely fantastic. It's one of those things that I wish it could come farther to this area so people could really see just what these guys do in meeting for the first time in 3 days and practicing. So this last song is it's not just a solo, it's a feature of Devin. It's called Body and Soul, and I think you'll see why we're fortunate enough to have Devin this year, and he will be missed next year as he's graduating as a senior. So hope you enjoy Body and Soul. Thank you. So here on stage is the Pennridge concert band. This next piece, I promised them that I would give a disclaimer before we played it. So with both groups, I like to put songs in front of them that aren't necessarily from movies or shows or different things like that, but things that are, there's historical content to it. This next piece, Rollo Takes the Walk, is it's written by David Maslanka, and it's a combination of two different ideas. It's based on Charles Ives music, and if you have not heard Charles Ives, he's a fan of polyphony. He's someone that first kind of started using a lot of polyphony, and what that means, if you know some music stuff in there, basically if you have a key, but then you play another key at the same time, and it makes this kind of grating. It's not necessarily what you would call a pretty sound, but it was to challenge the way that people used to listen to music. And I fell in love with this character, this cartoon character of the time period named Rollo. And Rollo was the character in a children's book series. And Rollo was kind of this guy that walked around and never really understood or learned things until he was kind of beaten over the head with it, and someone just kind of took him and said, "This is the way things are." So Maslanka wrote a piece based on Rollo and Ives' fascination with Rollo. And the idea is, it's like Rollo's taking a walk through a park, and he's hearing all of these different bands. And one of Ives' criticisms of American music of the time period is that American listeners didn't necessarily have the patience to listen to long-form classical songs. So you hear things that are very disjointed, very broken up, and sometimes they they flat out don't always go together. Which, when a piece is written to intentionally sound less than perfect, it's very challenging to play. So we had a fun time learning this one. Some of us were a little more resistant to it than others, but I think by the time we've gotten to the end, we've done a nice job of kind of conveying the message of the piece. So this is meant to be a little comical, meant to be a little disjointed. I promised that I would tell you that before we played it. So this is Rollo Takes a Walk. Thank you. That last one was from the second most recent Star Trek movie, Into Darkness. The one I like about that one is it combines some older Star Trek themes with the newer Star Trek themes. So it was a fun time for them to play it because they knew it from the newer movie, and to be honest, I knew it from the newer movie also. But every so often, it's true. But every so often, Mr. C, who I think is somewhere out there somewhere, he would conveniently always seem to be making a coffee run right around the time we would play this because he kept popping in and hearing Star Trek themes over and over again. So I would always see him kind of walk by because he heard the other stuff happening. It was a cool tune to go back and forth with. We have one more for you. This is called The Great Locomotive Chase, and it is actually based on, we took some time and read a story about it. It's actually based on a true event in the Civil War when Union soldiers went undercover and captured a Confederate train and rode it as fast as they could through as many of the rail lines as they could, and the objective of it was to destroy as many of the ports and bridges as they could. So they took that story and wrote this song, so you will hear different things, instruments and vocalizations that are meant to sound like a train. So this is the last one for concert band, and then we'll take a brief moment and slide these guys and girls off stage, and then we'll bring symphonic band on. So thank you very much. This is their last one for the night. Great Locomotive Chase. thing. So the first two songs we just played, the first one was Raiders March from the first Indiana Jones movie, and the second piece we just played was called Into the Raging River, which is another one similar to Great Locomotive Chase, but it's more just a personal story of the composer, and it's his story, his experience going through the Grand Canyon Rapids. We are going to take a moment after this next one to recognize seniors and some other students, but the one thing I did want to take a moment and mention now, obviously as you watch, there's a lot of moving parts. There are student-run groups that performed first, and there are the jazz bands and the smaller groups, and then behind the scenes is all that is happening. These guys and girls are taking care of themselves in terms of getting ready, getting tuned, and all those things. So it's an absolute pleasure to come and work with them each day and how they can carry themselves and take care of these things. It makes my life much easier to be able to just say, you guys have to get ready, we have to do this, and then they just take care of it. So it's a very nice job on their part. So first of all, congratulations to you guys for and I'm obviously, because of the ahs and the ums, because I'm staring out here in lights, I'm not a big talker in public, and I did write a few things down for this next one because I did want to make sure that I recognize everyone that needs to be recognized. One of the things that is most impressive to me with these high school students is in Pennridge we have Takes Pride's theme. It's an acronym that stands for different aspects of their life and a well-rounded young adult and future member of society. And one of the attributes that, to some extent, unfortunately, these students have had to show the most of in the past year or so is perseverance. In the last school year, we have had the unfortunate experience of losing several members of the music community here in Pennridge. John McMorty, an alumni trumpet player, Greg Benson, the former band director up here at the high school, and most recently, Gary Williams, one of the long-standing percussion directors up here for marching band and indoor drumline. This next piece is one that I had played in high school, and it's entitled Salvation is Created. It's a short chorale, and what struck me when we started learning this is I remembered a reading in a class in college, and it was a short reading by an Indian author, and his belief in what he wrote, it was a story about struggle and survival, and what he wrote was salvation is not something that is just given to you, it is something that you earn inch by inch and something that you accumulate through your life, and when you reach the end of your journey and you pass on, that salvation is dispersed to those that you have affected, and that is how your legacy is carried on. So while we want to take a moment and we know that those that we have lost would want us to move forward and celebrate the life that they had rather than spend much time in mourning, we wanted to take a moment and dedicate this piece, Salvation is Created, to those that we lost over this past year. So this next one is entitled Salvation is Created. And all of my shuffling, I said, don't forget the program so you can remember the seniors, and then I left it down at the ground. So there was, if that's the only mistake that happened, then so be it. That's fine. We did take a moment earlier, and we recognized Devin for his all-state participation. Devin, if you can stand up one more time. And Devin, if you can stay up, what I would like you to do, we recognized you last concert, but if you participated in county band, district band, or district orchestra, could you also please stand and be recognized one more time? Last but not least, before we play our last piece, we did want to take a moment and recognize the senior members of our group, because this is, with the exception of maybe some of them in the Memorial Day Parade, this is the last time they will perform, because the next time this band performs will be for them at their graduation. So we wish them well from my own personal experience, and we've had this conversation on our own as a group. When I came into this position, it was basically, we had kind of known each other through marching band and some through jazz band a little more closely, but I was introduced to them maybe 24 hours after receiving the job, and the seniors especially did a fantastic job at not only welcoming me, but also being the backbone of the program as we went through. There's obviously a lot that goes on up here, and it's very easy for things to fall through the cracks, so not only them reminding, but also them being fluid and helping with everything was a huge help, and it could not have been near as much of a success as it was without their assistance. So as a group, seniors, thank you for everything that you did. I want to call your name if you could stand, please. You are recognized individually, and I'm just going down the instruments. Caitlin Hawthorne, stay standing. Cynthia Lennon, Chris Persak, Caleb Lennon, Haley Cordero, Maddie Myers, Michael Pennridge, Devin Griffith, Jonathan Sushi, Freddie Munson, Freddie's standing up. Nick Carter, Bruce Caddy, Lynn Schamberger, Ina Orlovich, Ryan Payne, Jeremy Petter, Country Milano, Drew Moyer, Sarah Craig, Brady Gorley, JT Kettle, and last but not least, Seth Zeller. And the two that I did not mention, Colin from Concert Band, Colin Plusher, congratulations. Definitely in front. And also, I promised her I wouldn't do it when she was front and center on stage because she was the only one in concert band, but I do want to make sure Maddie Mosser is also mentioned and congratulated as well. So seniors, thank you very much for everything you have done this year. Thank you for all of you for coming out. You guys can sit, thanks. I know you're getting uncomfortable standing. Thank you very much for coming out and supporting not just your children in their ensembles, but also all of the other students in their ensembles as well. We have one more piece for you called Hounds of Spring, and after that they'll head off stage, and then they're yours for the night. Thank you very much. Have safe travels home, and we will see you at graduation.